Hey you all, welcome back to our channel. I am Dominique and today I am going to be showing you how to make 3 delicious different side dishes. We are going to be making rice, cabbage, and sweet potatoes. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to show you how to prepare the sauce that I make and use for the rice. While the rice is frying, I like to add this into the rice to bring out the maximum amount of flavor. In just a few seconds, I am going to show you how you can turn all of these herbs and vegetables into this delicious sauce. And don't worry, you don't need a fruit processor or a blender to make this. None of those are required. Now what are you going to do is you're going to take your tomato paste and you're just going to put it inside of a bowl. Any bowl will do. I happen to have this little one, so I'm just going to put it inside the bowl. Next, you're going to chop up all your vegetables and herbs. You don't have to do this in any particular order. I decided to start off with the garlic. Now with the garlic, you don't want to over chop it and mince it. You just want small chunks because this will add to the flavor, and when the rice is cooking with the sauce, you won't have huge chunks of garlic. The garlic kind of dissolves into the rice. So you want smaller chunks, but not minced garlic. And then you're just going to add that to your bowl with your tomato paste. Don't worry about mixing all of your ingredients together right now. Just add them to your bowl and continue chopping. I would also like to point out that I am not cutting on the counter. I do have this little plastic piece that I am cutting on. So don't worry, I am not cutting. Now we're just going to start cutting up some cilantro. And I just like to take the stems off a little bit, just twist them off, and then just roughly chop that. You don't have to go into, finely chopping it. Just roughly chopping the cilantro will do. As you may already know, the cilantro will shrivel up and kind of reduce, or not really dissolve, but it will just shrivel up into the rice. So you just want to roughly chop it. Next, we are going to be working on dicing the tomatoes. Now you just want to dice it small. There's no really certain way that you have to dice it. Just dice the tomato small and put it into your bowl. I also want to mention that you should reserve 1 clove of garlic as well as half of your tomato for the frying process. I had 5 cloves of garlic, but I only show 4 on camera right now because I only use 4 to put into the sauce. Now we are going to be dicing up the onions. And again, you just want to dice them small. Make them roughly the same size that you made the tomatoes, just so that it can have even cooking and everything just blends together nicely. Then you're just going to add that to your bowl as well. We're going to do the same thing with this green onion. You're just going to chop it up the same size as the onion and the tomato, and you're just going to put it into your bowl for your sauce. I decided to move all of my ingredients into a bigger glass bowl. 1, because when I tried to mix it in the smaller bowl, it didn't really work. And 2, so you guys can see the ingredients mixing together well. And you don't want to really mix it because you're going to add seasoning to it. So just mix it, incorporate it, and leave it alone. Now these carrots aren't going to be a part of this sauce. They're going to get chopped up later for the frying process. So I'm just going to put the carrots into this bowl as well as all of the other ingredients that I reserved. So I reserved the tomato, the clove of garlic, and the half of onion. And I'm just going to put that into the same bowl and just put it aside while I season up this sauce. And then we're going to come back and we're going to chop it up in just a few minutes. Now here are the vegetables that I'm going to be using later for the frying process of the rice. I just have them in this nice bowl and I'm going to set it to the side. Now we're going to start with the seasoning. I did add a chicken cube. Now I'm adding some Dijon mustard. I'm also adding this marinade to the sauce because it gives it a nice flavor. I don't really have measurements for anything. I just kind of season with my eye and as I go. This is Creole seasoning that I like, some onion powder, some garlic powder, as well as some oregano. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of dried mustard powder. It complements the rice well because the Dijon mustard is already there. And I almost forgot about my olives. So you are going to roughly chop some olives Any green olives without the pit will do. And now you're just going to mix all of these ingredients together. I know it looks a little pale right now, but that's fine. The more mustard you add, the paler it will be. And I'm going to add this beef seasoning and mix it all together really, really well. And that is your sauce. Like I said, it might look a little pale right now, but that is the sauce. That is everything that I put into the sauce. And I made this one earlier, and I just put it in this container because it holds up really well inside of the freezer. And I like to make it in bulk. So now we're going to be chopping up the vegetables that were inside of that bowl to begin the frying process. And you're just going to chop it up the same exact way, nicely diced and uniform pieces. You want everything to be relatively the same size so that you put it all in together and it cooks evenly. I am just going to speed through the chopping of the tomatoes because I've already chopped them for you guys, so you guys already know what to do and how to chop those. Now I'm going to start working on the carrots. The carrots, I was at first chopping them one by one because I just wanted to show you guys how the pieces should look. But then I was like, this is taking way too long. And I just started roughly chopping them how I would normally chop them on any old day if I'm making this rice. And then I just chop them up like that, put them in a bowl. Now you can see that all of my vegetables are the same size. They look the same. So that means that they're going to cook evenly. Now I have moved to the opposite side of the kitchen because I'm done chopping up those vegetables for the rice. So I'm on the side closest to the stove. But before I begin frying anything for the rice, I want to just chop up everything else. So I'm just chopping up these sweet potatoes. Now we like to eat the sweet potatoes in cubes, mainly because I do have Zane, as you guys know, and she is 17 months. So cubes are just easier for her to pick up with the spoon, or if she decides that she doesn't want to use the spoon, it's easier for her to just pick up with her hand and I don't have to worry about anything. So, and they also look nice too. So I'm just showing you guys how I cube the sweet potatoes. I have the pot that I am putting the sweet potatoes in on the stove on the side of me. Now, don't worry, I am washing off everything that I use, especially in times like this. I've always washed my vegetables, but especially during this time right now, everything is being clean. I'm just not showing that because you guys know how to clean your vegetables. Now, I am going to be chopping up this cabbage, and I just like to slice it. Now, as I was filming this, it was dinner time, so I was so hungry that I completely just started chopping and I forgot to take out the core of the cabbage. As you will see now, after I've sliced it, I decided to take the core out. Normally I would do this before I even start slicing it thin, but because I forgot, I'm just going to do it now to get it out of my way. Now I am going to speed through the rest of the slicing thin process of the cabbage. Now, yay, we're on the stove. These are the sweet potatoes. I've added nutmeg, cinnamon, brown sugar, regular sugar, a pinch of salt, and I'll add a little bit of butter in a few minutes. Zane is awake now, so you will hear her here and there. Now to get started on the frying process of the rice. As you saw, I added a little bit of oil. Use any kind of oil. Normally I use olive oil, but I didn't have any at the time. And then you're just going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter. So now you're just going to add those beautifully chopped vegetables into the butter and the oil. Now you're just going to let it fry. I usually let this sit for maybe about 5 to 7 minutes on like a low medium heat because you don't really want it to cook like super fast. You want the oil and the butter to be infused with the flavor of these vegetables. Now you can see I'm just stirring in some butter for the sweet potatoes. Now you don't really want to agitate it too much. You just want to kind of let it cook, but you do want to mix it around just so that you can pay attention and make sure that nothing's burning. Make sure your heat level is right. Now I am just going to let these sit. I covered up the sweet potatoes because they came up to a slight boil. As you can see, I am mixing up the veggies one last time just to make sure that they are almost done cooking through before I add in our sauce. Hello, sauce. Now, with the sauce, I just add a couple of spoonfuls into it at first. I add the spoonfuls, then I'll mix it around to see how I like it and if I should add more. You do want to add a little at a time because you can always add more, but you can't really take it out once you've added it in, unless you take out your vegetables and now you're losing flavor. So just add a little bit at a time, mix it up, see how it looks. You want it just to cover everything. You don't want it to be too saucy like you're making pasta or spaghetti. You just want it to cover all the vegetables nicely because then it will cover up the rice nicely, like that. This is exactly what you want to see when you add the sauce. This is exactly how you want it. Now, what I am going to do is take some rice. You can use any type of rice. I like to use jasmine rice, but it doesn't matter what rice you use. It'll be great with any type of rice. You just want to make sure that you wash your rice. Wash your rice until the water runs clean, or about 5 times, whichever one comes first. I just put it in that little thin strainer so that I could just run it under the water until the water runs clean, agitated inside of the little strainer, and then we're done. Then once you add the rice, you just mix everything together and you kind of just let it sit there so it can just fry up a little bit. So now I just mix up the rice just a little bit so that I can make sure that all of the rice is frying evenly and everything is well coated with the sauce. Then I am just going to take a cup of water and add it to the rice. And now I'm just mixing in to see how much water I've actually added, or to see if I added just enough water. As I said, Zane is awake now, so you will hear her. You will hear her, but that's fine. So at the end, I decided that I did want to add just a tiny bit more water because you want the water to be a couple of centimeters above the rice just so that it'll cook. You know, you don't want crunchy rice once it starts steaming. As you can see, the rice is now coming to a boil, and this is what you want. After you fried the rice, you added the right amount of water. You're going to want to bring everything back up to a boil before you cover it to let it steam. And once you cover it, you just reduce it on low and you leave it alone. I do mix my rice one last time, but you don't really want to mix your rice too much. You don't want to over mix it because then you'll have sticky, goopy rice. Now it's cabbage time because the rice and the sweet potatoes are almost done cooking. So now we can start on the cabbage. As I said, I've already washed these cabbage pieces before I've added them to the pot. And I've just added a little bit of butter and oil to the pot as well. Now I just lightly season the cabbage with some salt, some onion powder, some garlic powder, some red pepper flakes, and some black pepper. Just really simple seasoning to make it taste good though. So with the cabbage, you just want to mix it up. Because the way that I like to steam my cabbage and I don't cover it, I do mix it up quite a bit just so everything is, evenly getting heated. If you cover your pan, then you don't have to mix it up as much. But because I don't like to cover it, I just mix it up a couple of times, not a lot. Now here you can see that the sweet potatoes are done. And don't they look delicious? They look yummy. And here is the rice. I know this is what a lot of people have been waiting to see. How does your rice come out? How does it look? And this is what it looks like. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now, I should also mention, I do add habanero peppers to the onion and tomato and garlic in the first initial frying, but the grocery store didn't have any. So I didn't add that in today, but it still would taste great. And here is the cooked cabbage. Everything is now finished cooking, and here are the end results. Doesn't that look delicious? I also plated it in Zane's little plate as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. Thank you for watching. Bye.